Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today for Business Ego Juku. My name's Christy and I'm your host for today, so let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to Business Ego Juku. My name's Christy and I'm here with David Wagner.
Hello.
Hi David, welcome back. And David is, as you know, a business communications specialist and an NHK host. And today's topic for session 5 is the sound of silence. Now, take a moment to think about that. The sound of silence. It's kind of a play on words. And honestly, as an American who is Japanese American working in Japan, a lot of my experiences with silence come with this really awkward tension. Like it almost feels like something is going wrong. It has a very negative feel to it, connotation. And so, you know, when you're talking to someone or if you're giving a speech and maybe, you know, the audience isn't so engaged, silence tends to be an indicator that something's not going right, in my opinion. But please, can you share with us a little bit more about what you mean by the sound of silence and what that entails?
Yeah, well, it's not the Simon and Garfunkel song. Let me just be clear about that. Silence is a powerful communication tool, particularly in Japan. It's less powerful in the United States, where you and I are from. But I think understanding it in a cultural context is important. Generally, silence in the United States is seen as emptiness. You know, so we can say the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. So in the United States, the glass is half empty. And in Japan, the glass is half full, silent, because silence has meaning. Let me show you a slide that might help to put this into context. Let's take a look at this. So this slide has 3 points I want to discuss. And I already mentioned the one that I just highlighted, which is that silence is emptiness. And again, that's not 100% true in the United States. Sometimes silence between lovers or silence between people who know each other really well can have some benefit. But in a business setting, it's seen as a waste of time. If you're silent on a teleconference call, somebody's going to cut in and take control away from you, right? Whereas in Japan, they expect that silence as part of the conversation. So the solution is to fill the silence with words for Japanese, which means keep moving, keep talking. As much as possible, limit your silence. And that's the strategy that I find is very helpful for Japanese as a whole. It's not a very difficult concept, but I think we talked about in the first session some weeks ago the idea of style shifting, and this is an opportunity to style shift. Instead of being silent, if you're speaking Japanese, cut the silence and keep moving and keep talking. And I think that's a beneficial trait. The other thing I want to talk about related to silence is that when I style shift and I go into silence as part of my communication strategy in Japan, I'm quite uncomfortable with it. I have to be honest, after 35 years of living there, I don't really like it. I find it inefficient. But I also find it a great tool to feeling or reading the air in Japan, which is uki-o-yomu, which is really important, right? And it allows you to watch others and look around the room and see what's going on, observe, and think and organize your thoughts. The problem, again, is in a global setting where you're in a really direct culture where conversations move fast. You get killed when you're silent. And I see this all the time, again, on teleconference calls. You've got a Japanese and an Indian and a Chinese and a Russian and an American. Who ends up getting slaughtered? The Japanese. They just don't know how to cut in. They don't know how to raise their ideas. They don't know how to influence in terms of timing. And I think that's my main message today.
Okay. And I think I do recognize, and I want to, reach out to folks watching that sometimes this is difficult to tackle, especially maybe if your English mastery is not, tip top, where you don't have that really quick, reaction to when somebody asks you a question or puts a topic out on the table. So I think this being able to engage in the silence, right, and to take advantage of these moments where kind of like the reins of the conversation, like somebody lets them go and it's kind of open range for someone to jump in and start a new talking point. Working through the language barrier is definitely difficult, but totally doable, especially if you check out some of the other talks we've had with David about ways to structure your conversations logically and the ways to, ask pointed questions. A lot of these tips that we've talked about along the way are going to help you, regardless of your level of English ability. It will help you interject in times of silence and perhaps really, make a huge impact on what seems like a discussion that kind of went stale or something that got stalled. And you're going to be kind of the hero of the day when you can jump in and
so let me just give you a quick example of how this works typically when I lead a seminar in Japan versus when I lead a seminar in the United States. So when I lead a seminar in Japan, and I'm going to do it in English because this is an English video, I'm going to say, does anybody have any questions? Now watch me wait. I'm going to wait. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? Oh, Toshi-san, you have a question? So that's a typical Japanese style, maybe 5, 10, 15 seconds of silence versus the American style, which is, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, great. Have a good day. That's it. Finished. Exactly. Totally different style, totally different.
Yeah.
And again, this is an example of style shifting to accommodate a cultural norm. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for kind of putting that out in like very plain and simple, performative display of like what that looks like. Because I think for a lot of people, we can remember a time where we were in a meeting where it did go silent, but seeing it kind of played out again in front of us back to back and showing the cultural difference between how people interact with those Q&A sessions, for example. If you know this ahead of time, and if you're watching this video, you will be more prepared for when this time does come up, and you can, sort of put yourself and position yourself in a way to better tackle and better, persuasively and effectively use your English as a communication tool. So thank you.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the session with you, Christy.
Thank you so much, David. Always a pleasure. Take care.
See you soon. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Hey everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's session of Business Eigo Juku. We are going to have new videos every week, so be sure to check it out and stay tuned. See you next week. Bye!